Friends, this is a very special historical broadcast today. This is a kind of broadcast which world will remember forever. American President Donald Trump has threatened to the world that a civilization will die tonight. You must have heard, you must have read. So this is a kind of threatening to end a civilization is not a simple statement. It's not a drill, not a trailer or a movie. This is just real. Today on April 7th and 8th midnight, we are here to record this moment, what President Trump has said. The President of the United States has said something which modern leader which never said so loud. Again saying a whole civilization will die tonight. It's not about a sanction, it's not a warning, a civilizational threat in plain English language. War of words or war of the world again? What do you think? Is it just a war of words between two nations? Or this is a clear signal of war of world, third world war? So the whole world is watching, and honestly, most of us don't know whether to be deterred or just deeply feel disappointed. So the whole world is in shock to listen this special address to the world. So let me again read you the same line, what exactly he said in a very slow motion. A whole nation, a whole civilization will die tonight. Now compare it to that the Kennedy's speech, famous speech during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Kennedy had said, "We will not risk a war of annihilation." And Trump said, "You will be annihilated." Annihilated means vinash, sarvanash. That's not a deterrence, that's gunpoint diplomacy without the prudence of negotiation. And here is the kicker. History shows when you threaten to erase a people, a civilization, you don't win. You radicalize them. Around 14 million human shields were seen today in whole of Iran. Imagine this. You are a 19-year-old and Tehran, your phone buzzes at 3 a.m. It's not an air raid siren, it's the Supreme Council of Youth. They launch a campaign called Human Chain of Iranian Youth for a Bright Future. And within 48 hours, 14 million volunteers, not soldiers, students, engineers, that guy who sells tea on the corner, they all pledged to surround nuclear plants with their bodies. Even the Iranian president, Pezeshkian, a guy who usually talks about economies, says, "I will stand with them and I am ready to die." America says, "Your civilization ends tonight." Iran's youth says, "Then we become the walls." That's not a weakness. That's a story the world will quote for decades. Now see what's happening in the United Nations, which is responsible for resolution of all such disputes post Second World War. So what you see inside the United Nations, the three emergency meetings are happening in 1 week. Three emergency meetings. Bahrain, yes. Bahrain tables a resolution to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Water down. His resolution was watered down. No use of force clause anymore. Three important countries of the United Nations, Russia, China, and France, watered down this resolution introduced by Bahrain. So, and what was the vote? 11 in favor, 2 in against, and 2 were absent. So, who killed it? Russia and China, double veto. Russia's exact words on this resolution was, "This is genocidal intent." What China said? China said it's a dangerous precedent. And here is the inside story the news won't tell you. Pakistan abstained. Yes, Pakistan abstained from this resolution not because they love Iran, not because they are terrified of Beijing. And one more country, Colombia, also abstained because gas prices are already exploding at home. France secretly warned the US civilizational infrastructure strikes war crime. No peace deal, no corridor, no plan B. UN didn't fail. The UN was neutered. Now the see what's happening in the oil market. What is happening? How the oil is shocking the entire world. The oil is today $111 per barrel. This is shocking for the whole world. Price rise is happening in entire world. So now let's talk about the wallet. Iran blocks the Strait of Hormuz. 20% of global oil trade is stalled. So Brent crude $111 per dollar barrel per dollar. This is staggering. And this is the latest from this morning. European airports rationing jet fuels. Qatari LNG shipments halted. Fertilizer prices shifting. All our food prices are the next, and the whole market is affected. So one diplomat told me off the record, the America's plan to strangle Iran is strangling the whole world. Remember what happened in 1970s, that when it was the gas lines? This is worse because it's not just oil, it's just the trust. It's trust in a country. Now, the last thing is, when you talk about what is happening on the ground, there are two different nightmares. In Iran, US jets hit Khag Island, which is the oil lifeline. Israel hits bridges, railways, and chemical plants. 36 civilians died in Tehran alone. The Khorasanina synagogue half destroyed. Electricity out in Karaz. 2 million people in the dark. And what is happening in Israel? Not missiles from Israel, but rockets from Hezbollah is bombarding there, and tens of thousands of such people are affected in whole of the Israel, and they are living in the bunkers for more than 40 days now. So this is the scenario after the President Trump's war declaration, and during this war, during this ongoing war, when he says that he wants to annihilate and he wants to destroy a entire civilization, this is not a diplomacy. This is a kind of Trumplomacy, which the world media says, and I would like to remind you that Rome 100 BC ago, they relied on intimidation for a century that worked until it did not. British gunboats in the 1800s secured trade, also created generations of nationalists who hated London. America in Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, overwhelming firepower. But what happened? It was a zero political victory. So coercion breeds defiance. It's the most predictable law of international affairs. Iran's human chain are proof. Threaten annihilation, they build walls with their ribs. I would like to tell you some of the very inside story, and which comes from the insiders, and this is not the people are tweeting. So why Pakistan abstained from the UN resolution? It's not didn't just abstain. They tried to mediate secretly, but Beijing called and said don't. Perhaps on the directions of Beijing, Pakistan has abstained from the UN resolution. China and Russia coordinated their vetoes in a cross-door meeting in Beijing. So no Western media was there. The European E3 split. France, furious about civilian strikes. Germany is saying let's talk. And Britain is aligned with Washington but refuses to send his ground troops. And one more, Colombia's abstention is not a principle. Gas prices at home are hitting record highs. Their own people are protesting, and that's why Colombia takes this crucial decision. So the real question lies is what exactly, when we are here, what exactly is going to happen tonight after a few hours? The President of the United States threatened to end a 2,500-year-old civilization. The question is not whether Iran's civilization survives tonight. The question is, in fact, does America's credibility survive its own rhetoric? Because once you say a whole civilization will die, you can't unsay it. Allies get nervous, enemies get desperate, and history writes you down as the empire that forget how to talk. So this is a very, very serious statement, and everybody in the world is waiting to end the deadline. And friends, we are very, very disturbed about this broadcast. Is not about taking any sides. It's about watching the moment diplomacy died and coercion took its place. If you want the full timeline, the UN votes and the oil numbers and the back channel mediation attempts, hit like a subscribe button and share this to your known friends, because the world is not watching what just Iran tonight. The world is watching what is, whether the words still mean anything or not. Trump first initiated war and after 40 days pursued a peace deal or peace ceasefire, and he just want an honorable exit. So the world watches. Why was this war, initiated when you have to return to table of talks? And when you have to return to table of talks, why you are threatening such in a such disastrous language that the whole civilization will die? Iran's leadership has repeatedly chosen control over compromise, at times seeming more willing to rule over ashes than make a deal that would truly help their people. I do hope for a positive outcome, positive for all, positive for peace for all, peace for humanity, peace for equality, and peace for dignity. Peace for democracy is also very important. So, this is not about cheering for conflict, it's about recognizing suffering and wanting better for those caught in it. I believe we should be praying for wisdom on all sides while also being honest about the reality of what's happening. Let's hope for the best. That's all for what we can do and what we can pray for. Thank you, friends. Thank you. Goodbye.